Pedro Pascal continues his utterly absurd ways. This time he's defending Hollywood's race and gender swapping practices. His comments came in an interview with Variety's senior awards editor Clayton Davis, who asked him, one thing that I love so much about you and Joel, the character, is that one of my big things I write about here is diversity in film. You already see where this is going. It is not going anywhere good. Guy's clearly trying to push his agenda onto Pedro Pascal, and he knows Pedro is going to do it, given Pedro is one of the most activist actors out there. Nevertheless, Clayton goes on and says, I want to see it. I'm a Latino black man in journalism. Not very many of us are here. You are the goal that I want to see because when we talk about diversity, we all seem to be talking about different things. You're a Latino in a leading role, but Joel doesn't have to be a Latino because he's not Latino. He shouldn't be Latino. He just needs to look like the character of Joel. And I think Pedro Pascal actually does look like the character of Joel from the video games, more or less. I think he does an accurate job in that sense. But Davis goes on and says, Joel could be anybody, and that's where I get really excited. It's like you're there, you're representing, you're doing some great things, and you can just be. You don't have to be overly Latino. You can just be Pedro Pascal playing Joel. He then finally asks, do you feel that wave coming that you can just be Pedro Pascal, an actor, versus Pedro Pascal, like the Latino guy that we have for Latino roles? And we love you on Narcos and everything like that, but do you feel that change right now? And then Pedro gives probably one of the biggest word salad answers I've ever seen in my entire life. I literally have no idea what he's actually saying here. It is just a bunch of gobbledygook. But this is what he says. I think that the change is really important and that the best way to continue representation is exactly as you put it, just casting a person into a role that isn't limited to not limiting to a character to its racial identity. He added, especially if it's an IP that we're familiar with or a book, and people get so butthurt about this kind of stuff, but who cares? Because that is the coolest way of like moving the needle, is being open about the casting in every way. Well, as we, that's not how it works, because if you're changing a character like Black Panther into a white person, that doesn't look like Black Panther, and that's not Black Panther. It doesn't work that way. You need to stay consistent to what the character is. It's just like if you changed Clark Kent or Superman and you cast it as a black character, that's not Clark Kent or Superman. Clark Kent and Superman has a definitive look. That is what the character looks like, and the characters need to look that way. And the casting agents should be casting characters that look the way of these characters. Anyways, Pedro goes on and says, I remember looking at a script and thinking, God, wouldn't it be so? And there was this real sort of scary parental figure, and it was written as a father in it. And then I thought, God, wouldn't it be interesting if it was a mother, like if it was Diane Weiss instead of, and sort of treating the approach with some originality and let that originality be inclusive. I don't know how it is original to gender swap a character in whatever this thriller film, that script that you read. That's not original. That's literally what Hollywood has been doing for the past decade or more. It is the most unoriginal thing that Hollywood can think of. It's not original. So trying to claim that as original is just a complete and utter piece of hogwash. Instead of being like, these are the instructions, this is how we need to follow it, this is, let's label what representation is and follow those. No, I think that we need to continue discovering it and making sure that we understand that representation is in service of telling the story instead of fulfilling a political frustration, which is totally legit also. So what is it, Pedro? Is it that you need to have representation fill a story initiative, or do you need to fill a political frustration? Because it looks like you're trying to have your cake and eat it as well. And again, it doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Is it filling a political frustration, or is it filling a story element? Like you're trying to have your cake and eat it as well. He then goes on and says it's a very interesting thing to navigate, and I think that deserves all the attention in the world, so that we do navigate it, and that the needle does move, and that things do kind of like change. So he's all about just pushing the narrative. I don't think he actually has any kind of thoughts on this matter at all. Like I said, most of this is just a bunch of gobbledygook, huge word salad. Doesn't really make any sense. Contradicts himself a lot. Just complete and utter nonsense. And at the end of the day, though, he just wants to get the roles that he wants. And if race swapping characters is the way to do it, he's going to do that because that benefits him. And I really think that's what Pedro Pascal wants at the end of the day, things that benefit him.